uh, Virgo, I was not expecting what came through today. And I want to be precise about what I mean by that because unexpected things arrive in readings for different reasons, and the reason matters. Sometimes something arrives unexpectedly because it is darker than anticipated. Sometimes because it is more tender, and sometimes, like today, because it is more alive, more charged, more crackling with the specific electric energy of a situation that has stopped being quiet and has become, whether anyone planned for this or not, something considerably louder than the people involved are entirely comfortable with. Because what I tuned into when I sat with your energy today was not stillness, it was not the deep, contemplative, inward turning quality that some readings carry. It was noise, real noise, the specific, unmistakable noise of a situation that has developed its own momentum, that has expanded past the boundaries of what was originally contained between two people, that has pulled in a third energy, a third presence, a third set of feelings that were not invited into this and that have arrived anyway with the full unmanaged force of something that was not prepared for what it encountered. Somebody has lost their mind over you, Virgo. Not quietly, not privately, not in the careful interior nobody else needs to know way that people sometimes lose their composure over another person while maintaining the surface appearance of someone who has everything under control, loudly, repeatedly, in front of people, in conversations that have spread past the original circle into spaces and ears that were not the intended audience, in a way that has created a reaction in someone else, someone who is now genuinely, specifically, not abstractly pissed about it. And the full picture of why, of what is actually driving all of this noise and all of this anger and all of this talking that refuses to stop is what this reading is going to deliver to you today in complete detail. Stay with me, because this is more layered than it looks from the outside. Let me tell you how this arrived, because the texture of it is itself information. It did not come through softly. It did not arrive with the measured, gradual quality of something assembling itself carefully into language before being delivered. It arrived the way things arrive when they are already in motion, already loud, already generating heat and friction, and the specific kind of interpersonal weather that happens when strong feeling collides with strong feeling in a space that cannot quite contain both of them simultaneously. What I felt first was the talking, the relentless, cannot seem to stop, driven by something larger than ordinary conversation quality of someone who has lost the ability to regulate how often your name comes out of their mouth. Not because they are careless or unaware that the talking is becoming visible, becoming noticeable, becoming something the people around them are clocking with increasing attention, but because the feeling driving the talking is stronger than their awareness of how it is landing. They are talking about you, Virgo. The way people talk about something that has gotten completely underneath their skin and taken up permanent residence there. The way people reference something that their mind returns to automatically, compulsively, without being directed there by any external prompt. The way someone talks when they are trying to process something enormous by externalizing it, by saying it out loud again and again to whoever will listen, as though the repetition itself might eventually produce the relief or the resolution or the simple quiet that the interior experience of this feeling is currently refusing to provide. It is not providing it. The talking is not helping, and it has not stopped. Let me start at the beginning of this because there are multiple people in this reading, and understanding each one clearly is what makes the whole picture legible rather than simply dramatic. There is the one who has lost their mind. Let me start there because they are the engine of everything else that is happening. This is someone for whom you have become, at some point that they probably cannot pinpoint precisely themselves, an obsession in the truest and most complete sense of that word. Not an unhealthy obsession in the sense of something destructive or threatening or requiring any kind of alarm on your part, but an obsession in the original sense, a thought that has installed itself in someone's mental landscape and that has claimed a portion of their daily cognitive and emotional real estate that is wildly disproportionate to whatever the official status of your connection to them actually is. They think about you constantly. And I want to be specific about what constantly means here, because I do not want to use that word loosely. I mean, throughout their day, in the morning when nothing has yet happened to direct their attention anywhere specific, in the middle of tasks that have nothing to do with you, in conversations with other people where something, some word or image or passing reference snags on the part of their mind that is always at some level running a background process that has your name on it. In the quiet moments before sleep, when the mental management of the day releases and whatever is actually present in someone's interior world surfaces without the interference of effortful distraction. You are present in all of those moments for this person, Virgo, continuously, without invitation and without the ability to be evicted through any of the ordinary mechanisms people use when they are trying to think about something else. And because the interior experience has become this consuming, it has inevitably begun to leak outward into conversation, into the talking that has become the thing this reading is centered around. Because human beings, when they are carrying something this large in their interior world, when the feeling has grown past the capacity of private experience to contain it, do the only thing available to them. They talk. They find the people in their lives who will listen, and they talk, and then they talk some more, and then they talk again, circling the same subject from different angles because no single approach to it produces the release they are looking for. What are they saying, Virgo? Because I feel the content of it and it deserves to be named. They are saying everything. That is the only accurate description of it. They are saying what they find remarkable about you, which is a long list that they return to with the specific enthusiasm of someone who has been cataloging it privately for a long time and who finally has an audience for the catalog. They are saying what they regret, which is another long list, and which carries a different quality, heavier and more urgent driven by the specific anxiety of someone who is beginning to understand that what they feel may not be a situation they can simply wait out or manage into dormancy with enough time and distance. They are saying what they want, which is the most vulnerable list of all, and which they are sometimes saying directly and sometimes saying in the disguised language of hypotheticals and what ifs. And I just mean in general statements that everyone in the room understands perfectly well are not general at all. They are saying your name more than anyone in their life has become entirely comfortable with. Which brings me to the second person in this reading, the one who is pissed. Because there is someone in this person's life, someone close to them, someone who has been the recipient of a significant portion of this talking, who has reached a point in their capacity for listening to it that can only be described as done. Genuinely, specifically, not quite able to keep the frustration from showing, done. I want to be careful here about what I say and what I do not say, because the anger in this second person is real and it is present, and it deserves to be named accurately rather than distorted in either direction. For some of you, this is someone who has their own feelings about you, someone who is not a neutral third party to the situation, but who has their own stake in it, their own history with you, or their own feelings about the space you occupy in the life of the person who cannot stop talking. Someone for whom hearing your name repeatedly from someone who cannot seem to move past you is not simply tiresome, but actively painful. Because every repetition of your name is a reminder of something they are not able to simply rationalize away. This version of pissed is complicated. It is not clean anger. It is the specific, layered, hard to admit anger of someone who is responding to a situation that confirms something they would have preferred to remain unconfirmed, who is watching someone they care about or someone they have their own feelings about be completely consumed by the thought of you, and who is finding that consumption both infuriating and, underneath the infuriation, deeply clarifying about where they actually stand in the relevant emotional landscape. For others of you, the person who is pissed has a different relationship to this situation entirely. This is someone who is tired, who has listened to the talking for long enough that their patience for it has been genuinely exhausted. Not because they do not care about the person doing the talking, but because at some point, even the most patient, most loyal, most genuinely invested listener reaches the limit of what they can receive without something in them pushing back. This version of pissed carries a specific message, and it is one that I feel has either already been delivered or is very close to being delivered directly. Something along the lines of, you need to either do something about this or stop talking about it, because the talking without action has reached a point where it is no longer processing the feeling. It is simply sustaining it, keeping it alive by giving it a regular audience, preventing the natural forward motion that might otherwise produce some resolution simply by providing an outlet that makes staying in the current state feel bearable. This person is withdrawing their participation in the sustaining, which is, in the most fundamental sense, an act of genuine care for the person they are withdrawing it from, even if it does not feel that way in the moment. I want to pause here and speak to something that I feel arriving specifically for a few of you because it carries its own weight and does not belong collapsed into the broader narrative without its own space. For some of you, the person who is pissed is someone who tried, who at some point occupied a position in your life or in the life of the person who cannot stop talking about you that was meaningful and real and that they had genuine investment in. And hearing your name spoken with the specific quality of feeling that has been attached to it in these repeated conversations is landing in them as a kind of verdict they did not ask to receive. A verdict on something they tried to build or maintain or be for this person, that the comparison to what this person feels for you renders quietly, devastatingly insufficient. That is a specific and real pain, and I name it not to create drama, but because understanding it is part of understanding the full picture of what is actually happening around you, Virgo. You are at the center of a situation that has created genuine emotional weather for more than one person, not through anything you did deliberately, simply through the fact of who you are and what you produce in the people who encounter you closely enough to be genuinely affected. Have you felt this energy moving around you recently? The specific quality of knowing that you are being discussed in spaces you are not part of, that your name is carrying weight in conversations you have not been invited into, that something about your presence in someone's interior world has become loud enough to create ripples in the lives of the people around them. Let me know in the comments because I think this is landing very specifically for a number of you, and I want to know how it is presenting in your actual experience. I want to speak now to what this whole situation reveals about the person who cannot stop talking. Because underneath the drama and the noise and the frustration of the person who is pissed, there is a truth here about the nature of what this person feels for you that I think is the most significant thing this reading has to deliver. People do not lose their minds over people who do not matter to them. That sounds obvious, but I want to say it directly because I think it is easy to get distracted by the chaos of what I have been describing and miss the signal inside it. The talking, the obsession, the inability to regulate the frequency with which your name surfaces in their conversations and their thoughts is not evidence of something unhealthy or concerning in the way that word is sometimes used. It is evidence of the specific, unmanageable quality of feeling something at a scale that exceeds what ordinary social functioning is designed to contain. This person is not able to act normal about you. And the reason they are not able to act normal about you is that what they feel for you is not ordinary. It did not arrive through the ordinary process of finding someone attractive or interesting or compatible in the ways that people assess compatibility. It arrived through something older and less rational and less amenable to the management strategies that work on smaller feelings. And it has been growing rather than diminishing with the passage of time and the continued accumulation of whatever your presence in their life, even at a distance, even through the secondary channel of thinking about you rather than being with you, continues to give it to feed on. Inhale with me for a second, Virgo, because I want to say something about your position in all of this that I think is important for you to hear clearly without the noise of everything else this reading contains, making it hard to land. You did not create this situation through anything you did wrong. You did not manufacture the obsession or engineer the dynamics or do anything deliberate to produce the specific emotional weather that is currently surrounding your name in someone else's life. What you did was simply exist. Be who you are. Move through your own life with your own authentic presence and your own particular combination of qualities that apparently, for this specific person, has proven to be the exact combination that their interior world has no adequate defense against. That is not your fault, and it is not your responsibility to manage. The obsession belongs to them. The pissed person belongs to their own experience of being in proximity to it. The talking belongs to the need that drives it. None of it requires anything from you in the form of accommodation or adjustment or any kind of self modification designed to make the situation more comfortable for the people experiencing it. Your only responsibility here is to yourself, to your own clarity about what you want, to your own discernment about what this situation actually means, and what, if anything, you want to do about the fact that someone has apparently lost their ability to act like a person with a measured internal life when it comes to you. Let me speak to what is likely to happen next, because the energy in this situation is not static, and I want you to understand the direction it is actually moving. The person who is pissed is going to say something. If they haven't already, the frustration has reached a level where it is no longer being entirely contained, and the pressure of it is going to produce some form of direct expression that changes the landscape of the situation. Either they say something to the person who cannot stop talking, something direct and unambiguous about the need for this to either move toward actual action or stop being the dominant energy of their shared space. Or they say something that reaches you through whatever channel that gives you a clearer picture of what has been happening in your absence than you have had until now. Either way, something is coming loose from the private space where it has been generating its heat and is going to arrive in a more visible, more audible form. And when it does, the full picture of what has been happening around your name and your presence and your effect on someone who cannot find the off switch for what they feel is going to be significantly clearer to you than it currently is. Be ready to receive that clarity without immediately needing to decide what to do with it. Let it land first. Let yourself understand the full picture before you move toward any response. I want to speak to something about your own interior response to this reading because I feel it and I think it deserves to be named. There's a part of you that is not entirely surprised. That has been sensing something in the energy of this person, something in the quality of their attention or their referenced or their visible response to things connected to you that registered as more than ordinary without you having the full picture of just how much more than ordinary it actually was. Your discernment has been working on this situation quietly, filing away the small signals, building a picture that you have not yet allowed yourself to look at directly, because looking at it directly would have meant acknowledging something you were not sure you wanted to acknowledge. This reading is giving you permission to look at it directly, to see the full picture rather than the version your own protective instincts have been keeping partially obscured for the sake of your own equilibrium. What you see when you look at it directly is someone who has lost the ability to experience their own life without you as its central organizing thought. Someone whose feelings for you have grown past the point of being manageable through any of the ordinary mechanisms people use to keep their interior worlds functional. Someone who is talking about you constantly because the talking is the only outlet for something that has nowhere else to go. That is not nothing, Virgo. Whatever you ultimately decide about what you want from this situation, whatever direction your own discernment and your own heart take you when they have the full picture to work from, that is not nothing. As we move toward the close of this reading, I want to say something that I feel is the truest distillation of everything that has come through today. You are someone that people cannot act normal about when they feel something for you. That is not a small thing. That is not the kind of effect that most people have on the people around them. Most people are navigated, are managed, are held at a comfortable emotional distance, even by people who care about them, because caring is something most people do at volumes that do not compromise their ordinary functioning. What you produce in certain people, the ones who are open enough and perceptive enough and close enough to you to encounter what you actually carry, is something different from that. Something that does not cooperate with ordinary management. Something that installs itself and grows and refuses to be evicted through any of the usual means. The situation this reading has described is noisy and complicated and is creating real friction in the lives of the people nearest to it. But underneath the noise and the friction is a signal that is remarkably clear. Someone out there has encountered you and has found that their life before that encounter and their life after it are not the same life, and they cannot stop saying so. To everyone who will listen, if this reading landed somewhere real and specific in you today, please share it with a Virgo who needs to feel this energy right now, and leave me a comment below. Tell me what part of this connected most directly to something you have been sensing without having the full picture of. Tell me how it feels to understand what has actually been happening in those rooms you were not in. I read every single word you share with me, every comment, every story. I carry your energy long after this video ends. Until next time, Virgo. Somebody out there has completely lost the plot when it comes to you. And the most remarkable thing about it is that they are not even embarrassed. They just cannot stop